Flame on! How's everybody doing tonight? I'm here with my special guest, Nick Lenz. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
And today we're covering Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 16. Now, I believe this will be the tail end. This is like, I think we're halfway through Volume 3 or Volume 4. No, we just wrapped up Volume 3 a while back.
It depends on how many... do we know how many chapters released for the collected edition for these books yet?
To my knowledge, they haven't been translated in English yet. To my knowledge, but the average packaging is 4 chapters a volume on average.
So this one probably is the end of Volume 4.
Okay.
Because it basically have 4 volumes. This is Chapter 16. This is probably the end of Volume 4.
Yeah, that was my logic as well.
Now I love this cover image, basically of Ada in color, which I think this is the second time she's been on a cover of a Boruto chapter. She did also the original series too.
Yep. And before we move on, I'll go ahead and get this out the way because there was a bit of a controversy with this chapter. So Nick, regardless of thank God I'm a small channel because I would not let you get away with this otherwise. But apparently there was a bit of a controversy with the post time skip designs. And Nick, you want to go into more detail about that? Or do you want me to give you a brief recap?
The fact that a lot of them look like punks.
A little more than that. Okay, it's very similar to the Sarda time skip design. It was very provocative. It was inappropriate for a teenager to wear. And at least at this point in the story, Kishimoto's not directly doing the artwork. At least not as in the same capacity he was before.
And also, I have a fetish for really tight belts that have really long ends on, like Himawari's got one like that. Some of the characters got this for some reason. Sayora doesn't. It's like they made her more like. In fact, she's in mid-teens. Why the heck do we make her very sensual per se?
To my knowledge, this has been based on a lot of international fashion designs and choices with models. To my knowledge, and Ikimoto is largely basing the designs off current trends off that. Mm-hmm. Now, depending on whether or not he's going too far with that inspiration or design choice is subjective. But as long as he's not doing anything provocative or too risque with it, I mean, it's a draw. It's a 2D.
And he's only doing it to the younger characters. He's not doing it to the adult characters. The adult characters, what we've seen so far, all got the same attire as they had pre-time skip. None of them received a change. Except for Shikamaru with the interim Hokage look. With the exception of that, most of them kept the same look.
Yeah, and I wanted to go ahead and mention this as well. I would not be surprised if Konohamaru gets killed off. I'm not going to say he's going to fully job in this situation based on what we're about to go over, but I would not be surprised they tried to kill Konohamaru off. I would not be surprised.
Given the fact a lot of the time in the original Boruto series, he doesn't get a lot to do. I mean, with the exception of an original arc he had in the main anime, he does not get a lot to do. At some points, they were going to kill him off, it seemed like, but that didn't happen. But he's not a character, like, unlike in the original series, he got good amount of development for a recurring character. This series, not much. I'd say of the previous generation characters, I'd say Naruto got a good amount of development throughout this whole entire franchise for time skip. Aside from maybe him, I think Guard did as well. He received a little bit of development. Trying to think. I don't think a lot of everybody else did. Maybe Sai a little bit. I mean, he became more sociable, but whether or not you want to say his relationship with Ino was properly set up as a separate matter entirely, since a lot of that was comedic. Sakura got a lot of bit from where she was at the end of part 1, building confidence in herself despite not being as naturally gifted as Naruto and Sasuke. Rock Lee's obvious because he trains and improves himself all the time. Out of the entire Konoha 12, including Sasuke, the only ones you could really say stagnated are Ino, Tenten, and Kiba. Those are the only ones. Like in this whole series of Boruto, she has been very rarely featured. Like, it's so rare to see her. Given the fact she's part of the Hidden League 12, like, in terms of the main anime, what has she appeared in? Like, she appeared in the Steam Ninja Scroll arc and like a couple of episodes, and that's generally been it. In the manga, she has not appeared at all. Tenten has not made a appearance at all in the previous Boruto series, or even this one. She's been absent, despite the fact she's not dead.
And you're definitely right about that. I mean, but at least in the Ninja Scroll art, that's a direct. That's really okay. Yeah, that's a novel adaptation. I believe it's Konoha Shinden. No, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Konoha Shinden.
Yes, which the novel itself has not been released yet, but the manga adaptation, because I've seen it at Barnes and Noble, that has been released here, but the novel has not been released here. It's strange that that one doesn't get released here, but the books came afterwards. One for Parent Child, which is the Naruto one for Shikamaru, and the one with Sasuke. Those three released here, and the other ones that came afterwards, those are released here too. Which I'm pointing at the blame for that on Viz Media and the fact they couldn't get the license for those books for those books for some reason. Like the Gar one does not release here because yes, there is a Gar light novel. It's set in a blank period, which that kind of explains that stuff with him. There's one with the Hidden Leaf, which that was actually adapted for the anime. That one, that one's not released here. There's one for the Katsuki,
which is more of an origin book. Basically, watch the OVA from the Naruto Storm games, and you have a basic consensus of the Akatsuki Hiden novel. The novels go into more detail. Don't get me wrong, but you can get a basic consensus from the Storm games, at least in my opinion.
I think that the guy who wrote that also wrote the Sasuke one from the one that was adapted for the anime. The one that right now they have
Sasuke Resident,
the one where he went to Hell Valley with that clan who's similar to his, and a feature appearance by Orochimaru, and had a follow up with A before he stepped down as Razakage, where he addressed the situation with his lost hand that Sasuke kind of burned off. Remember that from the anime?
Oh, now I know which one you're talking about. Okay, that was Sasuke not Sasuke. Was that Sasuke Hiden or was that Sasuke Moon? No, I'm confusing the Sasuke novel for the Itachi novels, Daylight and Moonlight, right now.
Yeah,
but
that one. Which I'm glad that the anime, because if you watch the anime and you're like, is there some point that A and Sasuke talk about given the fact the war's over? And the episode actually shows it. Like the fact that A does, like you watch anime, he does not, he holds no grudge against Sasuke for that at all. It's more like mutual respect. You burn his hand and you earn his respect.
And contrary, I hate to cut you off, Nick. And contrary to popular belief, Sasuke was never officially cleared for his war crimes leading up to the war. He was given a lifetime probation, similar to Orochimaru. He had gotten more lenience compared to what Orochimaru and Team Taka received, but it was still a lifetime probation all the same. He was convicted.
Yeah, but he's not been rearrested for those previous crimes. He is just allowed to, as my guess, part is probation to do work for the village. Mostly put a lot of reconnaissance for various stuff related to what. I'm not sure what Kakashi gave him to do, but I know Naruto mostly had him do other stuff when he became Hokage. Kakashi never really stated exactly what he gave him to do because Kakashi never gave him any orders. He just basically wandered for a while before he occasionally came back to help out. Like in the case of the last movie, he came out to substitute for filling for Naruto while he's off on the freaking moon battling a distant relative and now his clan.
And okay. I'm sorry. I was never the biggest fan of the last, and here's why. Not because it's a romance story, not because of the retcons, even though those are factors. My biggest gripe with Naruto the Last and Toneri as a villain, one, the whole thing kind of feels like Spider-Man 3, where the whole plot is just a dogfight from beginning to end.
And they brought back the character in the anime. Did you know that? In Boruto?
Yes, he did.
I was kind of surprised they brought him back.
It helps set up the what's it called, the dojutsu Boruto has, the Jogan. It helps set up the Jogan, at least in the anime.
Yes, I think the reason why they brought him back is because he is technically a canon character, so they have right to use him.
Yeah, but back to my previous point, it just completely derailed the sentiment behind Neji's sacrifice in the war, especially because originally editorial wanted Neji to be killed off in the Sasuke retrieval mission. Neji was on borrowed time from the moment the Shippuden portion of the story happened. And you could have just wrote it like, hey, Naruto finally gets, and even if you factor Naruto's original boyhood crush on Sakura, he gets over that as far back as Sasuke getting out of the hospital. Shippuden just retreaded it, especially the anime version. Shippuden just retreaded it for pretty much half of it. And then before finally transitioning Hinata as the main heroine for the latter half of the story. But I blame that on Studio Pierrot.
When I first saw it, I didn't know this happened to me in anime. They have flashbacks in the movie of her confessing her feelings for him during something. I didn't know what it was. And I found, this happened during the Pain arc.
Yes, there was a lot of retreading in that film. A lot of retreading.
I think a lot of it, like from I could tell for the flashbacks, it seemed like a bit of stock footage in a way, but at least they updated it. But it's the same scenes per se. I don't think in the case of that one they edited anything there. In the case of, they also had a thing with Kiba, where his parents were just a flashback, and like he was absent the whole movie. And if you haven't seen the poster for the last, you see Sasuke guy is Suzuran out and he has Rinnegan out. He doesn't use those in the movie. He only appears twice.
Yeah, to stop the meteor in the beginning of the movie and then a brief cameo towards the end.
I believe the first time we see him, he is rescuing Hinata's father. Yes. And then later he saved the village. And that was it. That's all that he did. Which seems like, what was the point of having Sasuke in the movie if he's not going to do anything? I get he's a fan popular. He's a popular character with fans. But give him something to freaking do. At least in the case of Boruto, he actually had a role in that one.
I can understand. Okay, they definitely fixed this problem by the time Boruto the movie rolled around and the eventual anime and manga adaptation. They eventually fixed this problem. Don't get me wrong, but again, if Naruto and Sasuke ran a 2v1 against Toneri, the movie would have done a lot better.
Yeah. Instead, the one thing they cut out of the movie, this was in the novel adaptation of the movie, where not many people know this because not many people have read the light novel. I've read it, but I never finished it because I found more chapters of it. Shikamaru was actually in the movie. Shikamaru, you watch the movie like, Shikamaru has no problem with not being part of the mission. In the novel, he actually was against it. He did not want to part of the movie because too personally involved. But my guess is he got overruled by Kakashi over that situation because you hear his inner thoughts in the book of how he was totally against Hinata being part of the mission. But had a good result afterwards.
Yeah, and this brings me back to I know you're here for the present stuff with Vortex, but just bear with us. You actually do, even as far back as Shippuden, that last 200 episode stretch, I want to say 150, 200, correct me if I'm wrong, to where I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid, Boruto, the whole thing, the whole new era stuff, it was rushed. Even going back as the movie being post-production before it was released was rushed. Shippuden did not get a chance to properly adapt the novels. They were only given 5 novels to work with, and each adaptation was rushed. The Daylight and Itachi Daylight and Moonlight novels back to back, leading up to the Uchiha Massacre. I
say the Sasuke one they adapted for the last season. That one got well because I read the light novel after the episode. That was fully adapted.
Yeah, Sasuke shit was adapted from beginning to end. That's one of the better ones. I'm not refuting.
In the case of Shikamaru, they did have that one, but they cut all the Naruto scenes, with the exception of the one brief scene you see in that arc. But he was the only change they made to it. The only change they made, because if you watch the episode, you have Shikamaru about to be confronted by, he's battling him, and all of a sudden the wall breaks down, and you see Tamari and the rest of Team 10 behind her. In the book, she came first, and then not long after that, basically, they had those two come right after her because she came by herself. In the anime, they came at the same time.
Yeah, but as an anime adaptation, the books are kind of out of order because right after the last in Shippuden, you kind of skips directly to the Sasuke resident where Hinata's already pregnant with Boruto, or at least in the early stages of that pregnancy, even though canonically that wouldn't even be till about a year after the movie's events. So
yes. I know. I'm not sure why. Like, the one book I think they should have adapted as soon as they got to season 21 was the Sakura light novel, because that took place 1 month after the events of the last. Because that's how that explains it. It's been like a month since that event. I would say adapt that one first, or put the freaking Kashi novel first, because that was never adapted for the anime. Because that book was contradicted in Boruto, when they introduced the new blood prison, which the one they had in the show, that was not the one they had in the blood prison movie. That looked completely different. And the uniforms are completely different too, because in the movie they kept the worker clothes. In the show, they had the worker prison uniforms, and it looked like a modern day prison.
I feel like they just reused the name Blood Prison rather than outright canonized it. I think they just reused the name on that.
I think that the Kashi one did canonize some of the events of the movie, but I don't think it was a full canonization. I think the canonized the prison itself.
Yes.
Because I know after the events of the prison had no warden afterwards, so they had it where kind of a woman who Kashi counted in the book, who had this ice freezing power. I know it kind of spoiled for the book. She takes over as the new warden of the prison, as a prisoner as well, while basically keeping prisoners all in line, because she basically ran that prison. Because after the events of the Blood Prison movie, the four great villages basically ran that village in serious rotations. For like guards, they had their like various ninjas who would basically be the guards of prison, while the four great villages basically would run the prison with no warden. Yeah. That's what's explained in the book itself. I know it's a bit of a spoiler, but the book came out like almost 10 years ago,
give or take. But it's been a while since I read it. I read a fan translation of it, so correct me if I'm wrong. But they actually did.
There is a official translation. Visme did release that one here. I actually own it. They had that one first. Then they had Shikamaru. They had Sasuke. I think it was that one, Shikamaru, then Sakura. Then they had the Sasuke one, and then they had the two. They also had two Itachi ones, and that was it. That's all they released here for the original Naruto series. Nothing else. Don't know the reason for it at all. I never heard of the reason for it. I mean, like after they released the Sasuke one, they did nothing for years for light annotation, light laces over here, until the Boruto ones came out here, which they released, like I said, almost all of them except for like maybe two.
Yeah, because contrary to popular belief, I know we're jumping all over the place, but please bear with us. But contrary to popular belief, that entire first 50 episode stretch leading up to the movie recap and Two Blue Vortex is based on the light novels, minus a few filler arcs minus two filler arcs and a couple of transition episodes here and there.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, is the Ghost arc, the open arc they have for the series, the first 14 episodes, is that based on a light novel?
Yeah, the New Way arc is based on a light novel. Naruto Gaiden the Shinichi arc is based on Naruto Gaiden, which is considered
the Sadara arc, that's based upon manga, not a light novel.
Yes, that's what I was saying. It was based on Naruto Gaiden. That's the name of the manga. But
yeah, which is all, I think it's known as Naruto. I think it's like the Seven Springs. I think it's called. I know they have like a whole full. That's what the English translated title of it is. And Kishimoto himself wrote that. And in chapters where I think it was like chapter like 700.1 to 7.10. Yeah, that's how it was released. It's a book.
It's considered an extended volume. Thank you for that clarity, Nick. But where was I? Oh yes. Then the Genin exam with Kakashi is part of a light novel, or at least those episodes were inspired by that light novel. Mm-hmm. And I want to say one of them, the field trip arc in the Hidden Mist Village, was considered an adaptation of a light novel as well, but I could be wrong on that.
The standalone Mitsuki episode, and that's based upon his own one shot.
Okay.
Then afterwards, it's mostly anime original content after that.
For the most part.
And of course, that came just after the new Team 7 formed, which they had to replay the episode 3 from the original Naruto series again, where some guy elbows Boruto, just like how it happened with Naruto, and lands on Inochiya, and
we get the bit, Nick. We get the bit.
Yeah. Though in the case of the Boruto one, he ended up kissing Satoru's foot, which I thought that was kind of funny. It was funny thing. At least they avoid, because I think somebody might suspect, Boruto's not going to kiss. Nope, because Satoru basically probably suspected that, and there was a joke, a meme online where like, wait, did someone kiss my daughter? That's what the whole meme was. Sasuke. When I saw that, because that was so funny. It was the funniest thing I've seen online at the time that released.
But
and
yeah.
I was like barely a year in the anime when that happened. It would have been around maybe for like 8 months when the episode came out.
Yeah, but I know. Speaking of which, the Boruto's voice actor for the dub ended up pregnant, and that was one of the main factors they focused solely on direct-to-DVD release. But if I had to say how long it aired on syndication, it was about a year, give or take.
I never understood why, in the case of Boruto, like the only time you get a new dub release for that one, it's always DVD. It's like, I think Cartoon Network did air for a while, and then they just stopped. Now, those of you curious where you can find the Boruto anime, you can find the sub on Crunchyroll. The dub is not there.
Yeah, last time I checked, you would have to go to Hulu to get the dub outside the DVDs.
Yes, but in the case of Shippuden, good luck finding the whole series dub, because at one point they stopped like halfway through the three-tailed turtle arc. And then a few years later I checked it out again, and then they dubbed past that. And I think they dubbed it to like, I don't think they put the whole series dub on there. I think as far as like, I'm guessing at this, probably like season 12 or 13. And that's as far as they went. They didn't release the whole dub on there. I kind of wish they did, but it's not all there, because I haven't checked in a while, but that's the last I saw of it. I was doing a re-review of it, but I stopped after a while due to other stuff going on. So, and plus, if anybody's ever a chance to watch the Boruto Shippuden series, it is long, 500 episodes.
Now, I will say this: when Toonami went off the air, there was an executive thing, a whole big deal back in the late 2000s, but it was pretty much the TV block was taken out for 5 to 6 years. So to make it a long story short, during that time, Disney XD picked up Shippuden, and I know a lot of you OG fans remember this. So a lot of that just boils down. There could be a separate licensing dispute, but because with Disney Plus and all that, so some of it might be consolidated. But it just depends whether or not their full library can consolidate all the episodes. At least that's just my personal opinion on that. Please take it with a grain of salt. I have nothing official on the sort, but if I had to name a reason why they don't catalog all 500 episodes, it's probably due to a licensing dispute.
Yes. Did you know this? Before the release of Thousand Blood War, the Bleach sub was actually on Crunchyroll.
It was,
and then one person heard one story about this. One person was watching the sub, catch with it before the series came out, and all of a sudden, he had an error. Like, oh, maybe refresh it, and all of a sudden, the whole series is gone, completely removed from Crunchyroll.
I did hear they catalog Bleach. I think I do remember hearing that.
Yeah, in the case of this, I get the fact that the series was also airing on Hulu, but I don't know if the license expired for Bleach, given the fact that I'm sure some people watched the sub. I never watched the sub at all, except for the OVA the series had. Yes, Bleach had one OVA. But I watched the entire series, all dubbed, on Hulu. All 366 episodes.
Oof. And you're talking about a bad canon filler ratio. Bleach is one of the... Woo.
And some people... And Watch Mojo blamed the filler for the ending of the anime. No. Even though it's actually not true.
No,
that was completely fabricated. And and get this, they blamed for the failure of the Naruto anime on the Third Great Ninja War. And I'm like, nope. Yeah, Watch Mojo have this sense of like what killed these anime. They blamed the Fourth Ninja War for killing Shippuden, and I'm like, no.
I'll admit, the Fourth Great Ninja War was dragged out, but I wouldn't say that led to an outright cancellation. No, the manga wrapped up as far back as 2013. And
here's the thing: Shippuden adapted the whole freaking manga. Except for the last chapter, they didn't adapt that, but they loosely adapted it for an episode of Boruto. But the first 49 chapters, that's all adapted. The entire thing was adapted before the end of the series. Bleach, on the other hand, all but the last arc, which is adapting right now, all but that arc was adapted for the original series. The only reason why the series ended, the reason I've heard was a couple different reasons. One, low ratings. Didn't have good ratings for the last season. And two, I heard there was confusion over the Fullbringer arc. There was a lot of people were a fan of that one. They felt the arc was terrible. I did not think it was terrible. I thought it was a fun arc. It was something different. And they probably didn't like it. It was just like, it's like some people don't like stuff being different. They like everything being exactly the same as always has been. And that's not Parrot's fault for that arc. It's not their fault. They adapted what was next, which was the Fullbringer arc after they did that Doppelganger arc in the previous season. Which that arc was a lot of fun. I love that one, especially that funny scene where we have all these captains, lieutenants, all ending up in Ichigo's bedroom, which has been a recurring gag in the original series, which you don't see on the current series because no gags, because everything's so serious because it's 1,000-year blow where people are dying. Which they did have one scene in Ichigo's bedroom in like the first episode, and after that, nothing because everything's all in the Soul Society because it's the final arc. Mutual friend Tidia and I actually dropped the series because he was so burned out on all the villains winning so much.
No, 1,000-Year Blood War is a dark story from beginning to end. Now, this is why I know we'll get to the review in a minute. I know we're 26 minutes in, but I wouldn't have split it to 4 cores or 4 parts. Yes, 1,000-Year Blood War is long, but too much too quickly can easily lead to burnout from audiences, especially casual audiences, regardless of whether you read the source material or not.
Especially since they had one episode open with, get this. So I think it was episode 3 of this current core. It's like it opens up and you have Captain, I know it's kind of a spoiler. You have Ukitake just walking up and oh, I have this power inside me. Like, what? Where the heck did you come from? You were not there last episode. And then we have Byakuya there, complete randomness. Uchiyo's brother has like 2 lines in 4 episodes. I'm like, what the heck what is your deal, Parrot? What's all these massive freaking cuts? I mean, the first 2 episodes were good, and then you get to this, like, wait, when the heck did he get here? He was not here last episode.
Yes, 1,000-Year Blood War is a lot. And I even remember when I read it in the manga, so it was a lot even for me. But I said, if 1,000-Year Blood War ever got adapted, the safest option is to do what they ultimately did for My Hero, Black Clover, and that generation of anime after Naruto ended. Go full seasonal and then treat every core or section like a full season in of itself. That way you're not trying to force too much at one time. But it's Studio Pierrot, so they're going to do too much. That's just the way
some episodes, there's not even full chapter adaptations. There's like some chapters, like 1 page or 2 if they're lucky. Like, I don't mind if chapter gets split in half. I have no issue with that at all. Because One Piece did it for years, so I don't have an issue with it. So my issue is the too much cutting. I know the most famous one they cut was the scene where they show up Ruka's rear end as a gag. Because remember that scene in the manga where each of them rear end as a peach? They cut that from the anime.
We really need to get to the main topic of this video, but we could banter about this all night. But
yeah. Because I know that this has been accused of cutting a bit too much. Some are blaming the cuts on Disney. Which surprisingly, the violence is not being trimmed down. You notice that?
That's what I'm saying. Usually they mostly censor. They're not gonna, unless they were given a very strict budget, but I don't think Disney has anything to do with what Studio Pierrot does on the anime front.
Yeah, because I've been watching the last few episodes and oh my gosh, Para put a lot of money in this thing. Like, there's very good exterior shot, the good camera work, and good music. I'm like, wow, they're going all out for this thing. And I know recently, I think in the last month, they got a partnership with their studio, so we may get a return of, like, maybe a Black Clover. But you got to be impressed. The animation looks freaking gorgeous for 1,000 Blood War. It just the ultimate problem is the adaptation process. That's what I think a lot of people have issue with right now. It's not the animation. It's not the music. Not the voice actors.
The structure, basically.
Yeah, the structure. People have no issue with that. It's the writing people have a problem with.
All right, that's a fair critique. But back to Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, because it's about time we got to this.
Yes.
So yeah, this chapter is largely takes.
It looks like one of those magazine covers for here in the US.
It does.
Because you have love looks not with mind, but with eyes. Because it looks like a Variety Fair cover.
It does.
The chapter's called "The Singularity of Fate." I know some people like when I do that, but yeah. So, okay, so let's break down this chapter. Chapter was up with Kasha Kojin talking to Boruto. This is presumably during the time skip between series. That's probably when this takes place. So basically, the whole thing in this scene is like explaining about the space-time ninjutsu, and he talks about his awesome grandfather, the fourth Hokage, with the whole... They don't mention the name Yellow Flash, but they explain his ability where if he touches a particular object and the object is going like far like this, he's able to teleport the object. They show this in a flashback in, I think it was the sub with Obito, when there was that particular battle where he gave Kashi this particular weapon as a gift for becoming a Jonin.
Okay.
And he used the item to teleport his own mentor there, aka the Yellow Flash, because he's a blonde. That's why he's called the Flash, because he comes in the Flash. That was his ability, and he basically explained that. One thing I at least got impressed with Kojin, despite the fact he's a clone of Jiraiya, he doesn't act like Jiraiya, aside from the Toad stuff.
No, completely different personality.
Because I don't know if people... Here's something I would love to hear an explanation from now. This manga is not explained yet. Like, how in the world did Armando get his hands on a piece of DNA of Jiraiya, given the fact his body was in the bottom of a freaking harbor?
I mean, Jiraiya had his vices, so I'm pretty sure Amato found a way.
Yeah, I would love to hear an explanation for it, because it's like, oh, he's a clone of Jiraiya. Okay. How did it get in? Because I know that when they did this whole resurrection thing during the 13-inch war, why Kabuto, why he hands DNA? Because it was impossible to get to because it was underwater. He got his hands the other ones because they're all buried in graves. Because he was a grave robber. That's what he did. Because he's basically used a jutsu created by the single Kage.
Yes.
So we have him basically training with this stuff. That's kind of what, and of course, he explains the various symbols, which I actually don't mind this at all with this special training, the way they show it off here with all the training and the various symbols, where particular objects that basically Kashikoji explains to Boruto, which, the way Boruto is drawn here, it's almost like he's with the long hair. It's like, yeah, this doesn't look like Boruto. This looks like, I don't know, Sasuke.
It does.
Yeah, I get the long hair covering one part of his eye because I was scarred by, trying to think what was his name. The one who basically caused the whole memory alters thing. Not Code. The one who basically is Boruto's adopted brother.
Kawaki.
He caused the scar across his eye. Pre-time skip. The anime has shown it only in the fast forward stuff. So, did you find it kind of weird when the anime ended? We had the end where the flash forward began in the first episode.
Yep.
That was a weird way to end the series. But anyway, back to this. So after explaining all of it, so they continue all the training stuff, and it looks like the way they're training here, it's like they're in like a forest, and then it looks like they're in like another dimension because they have those slash line pillars. So it's kind of weird how it's drawn here. And they talk about futures, like talk about singularity, and then we finally cut back to Ada, which apparently she has been overhearing this whole conversation between Boruto and Kojin. Now, I have no problem with this dialogue. It's surprising it took up 10 pages, this whole scene. Were you surprised it took up 10 pages?
I am.
They have Ada, and of course, basically have Ada talking to Susumori. Now, this is basically something in this chapter that I've heard rumblings about online, basically about this scene, where it relates to emotion. We'll get to that. So, for this reason, and of course, you have Sadara, where she's basically not wearing a coat prop, like, oh, let's show off her shoulder. And she's got a collar thing, which I'm not sure why she has the collar for. I think it's kind of weird. I mean, I get the earrings. The earrings basically is her symbol of her clan. I have no problem with that. It's the collar I think is a little odd. And then you have Sasumori, who Sadara still refers to her as class rep. And it's like, she does point this out, basically, that the only know me is class. I mean, basically, she's never addressed by her name. At all. Only class rep. So, about mutual foe, about him. And basically, this is why I mentioned before where we have a little nod to the previous series where Sumeri hinted to Sadara that she had feelings for Boruto. And this is just basically reaffirming that she still has feelings for Boruto, but she's not chasing after him. Well, being Boruto's shoes, and she has like these things Boruto, and they're all sweating. Usually, well, I can tell anyways, in animation, the reason why I see characters like a little sweat little mark on them is because they're very nervous. That's a Japanese thing if people are nervous. I think in live action, I think in American cartoons, it's more done of a jokingly fashion with a big, humongous, little sweat mark. Because in American cartoons where people act a little nervous. In Japan, it's like a little small, but so I was playing. So calls a class, where it's like, and yet you leap into his arms. Yeah, so she's a bit jealous of the fact that Sadara hugged Boruto, and I think that she wanted to be the one to hug Boruto instead of Sadara. I'm thinking she might be feeling a little jealous, from what I can tell based on her dialogue. And Ada basically can tell, like, awkward in front of Twitch. Like, she's enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and of course, yes, and of course, they'll talk about, wait, class rep. Oh, how much longer will I just be class rep to you?
I mean, I understand the formality, but you're not exactly school kids anymore.
Yeah, so I'm like, they're not in school anymore, so there is nothing wrong with Sadara calling her by her actual name. She does know her name, except here's the thing. If you watch the entire series of Boruto, her name is stated maybe 3-4 times in 293 episodes.
Now you mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been less. Yeah, it's been about. Yeah. Huh.
Which, when she first, based on the way she acts, some people call her a Hinata clone.
No. I mean,
early on, they were calling her that.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like in the early episodes post New Era.
Yes, but here's the thing: number one, she's not part of her clan. Number two, she doesn't have any special aside from herself and Noe. Number three, it is not obvious that she's in love with Naruto, unlike in the case of Hinata, who was complete obvious that she was in love with Naruto from the beginning. It was so obvious, so sort of blushing. Sumeri was implied, not downright stated.
Well, they had different character dynamics. Hinata was a kudere, which is someone overly devoted and meek, very meek and timid. But in the situation where their significant other is harmed or insulted, they jump right at the chance to defend them. Whereas Sumeri is more, I don't know, I could be wrong. Please correct me if I'm using the wrong term, but it's more tsundere-like, to where she's more assertive and confident in herself from the get-go. But you get what I'm saying, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's they have different personality and character dynamics. or at least
And I'm also saying this one panel here, the way she's running, it's almost like, I guess the artist up again needed to have an upskirt shot for her, but not full one. Did you notice that? Like the way she's running here in this panel on page 20, where she's like kind of running to the stairs, and we kind of almost get an upskirt shot for her. She's 16. Why do we need an upskirt shot for?
Your guess is as good as mine on that one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's basically the artist being a bit of a pervert or that was an artistic choice.
But okay, let me go ahead and get this disclaimer out of the way. Kishimoto himself openly admitted he was a bit of a pervert and had a lot of double entendres in his work, like especially if you go into that other spin-off series he did, 1-800-Samurai, something like that.
It was Samurai 8 Fire. I never read it. I heard it was canceled due to low sales.
It was definitely should have got anime adaptation when I had the chance, but
I think the reason people read it because it wasn't Naruto. That's the reason I've heard why it didn't sell very well, because people wanted to do more Naruto. He wanted to do something else. But here's the thing: other writers have done other popular works. Here's an example: Tite Kubo, Bleach, and Burn the Witch. Yep. Both been successful. I think another good one. There's a few big others. There is the group Clamp. They've had many successful series over the years. There is the writer of Ashura Kenshin, where he's done like a few other series. Hiro Mashima, the creator of Fairy Tail, he's done a lot of successful series. Eden Zero, Raid Master, of course, Fairy Tail, First Warrior's Quest. The creator of Inuyasha. Every single series she's done has been a hit. And they only last a good period of time. Some of whom do get full adaptations for their anime adaptations, but not all of them. I heard that Rennie, that was a mystical anime, that did not receive full adaptation before it ended. A lot of the other ones did. Inuyasha definitely was pretty much fully adapted, except for maybe 20 chapters, I think it was. The remake around half, that is probably going to get full adaptation, given the fact it's been years since the anime ended. But it's like, I think he was trying to be like those writers, but they at least put a lot of hits. But it can't always work. Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, same guy, both successful series. Though the other one basically has been ongoing since 97, and he's only put out about 410 chapters in 20 years. That's because of his health. That is some examples of writers who've been successful with other works. But I guess because Kishimoto was so associated with Naruto that he just cannot do another series besides Naruto.
I guess so.
Here's another good one. The late Akira Toriyama. He put out two very popular franchises. One is in pop culture, that being Dragon Ball. People know about Dragon Ball. People know about it for decades. The other being another series that's occasionally Dragon Ball, Dr. Slump. I read the manga. It's a comedy. And it was adapted for an anime. Those are some of them.
And contrary to popular belief, Toriyama got his start, RIP of course, got his start as a comedic or gag mangaka or manga writer. Dragon Ball was kind of a personal, overarching experiment he wanted to do that just happened to take off. That wasn't his established niche or forte.
And apparently, if I can tell you read the manga and you see the anime, he's clearly a fan of Western media, given his with having Schwarzenegger, a Schwarzenegger character in there, Frankenstein, the Terminator has been a lot of inspiration for the series, especially with the whole android stuff that's all from the Terminator. Let's see. There was one episode they had for the anime. You remember the episode where you have Bulma, Krillin, and Gohan on a ship, and they arrive on another ship, and Bulma is running out in, white underwear type of thing, which I think is a nod to Ellen Ripley. Because, she did that too.
Yeah, I remember the fake Namek arc a lot. That arc is despised by fans. Not as bad as the Garlic Jr.
So I think it was original for the anime where they went on their ship, and they were on a ship full of revolutionaries fighting against Frieza. And she basically walked the whole episode wearing this underwear type of get-up. Only she had kind of like sleeves with hers, unlike in the case of Ripley was a tank top. But I think it was a nod to Alien with that one.
More than likely. More than likely.
Now, that was original. That did not happen in the manga from what I read. That was a complete original episode. But that was a fun episode to watch.
Yeah, it led to the whole fake Namek saga, and a lot of OG Dragon Ball fans kind of have a malcontent towards it. I'd argue the Garlic Jr. saga is worse because this guy Garlic Jr. was brought back solely for the purpose of filler. You could have used anyone else if you were just trying to,
And he was like the only new villain they brought back for the anime. Though you could say Cool was brought back for the anime too, but that was a cameo during GT.
And I guess you could argue BoJack is semi-canon, but that's a separate conversation in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
But back to this. Where
so,
were we?
We're like halfway through the chapter.
Okay.
So after the whole Ida gets a call from Shikamaru, and then we have the elders talking to. I'm not sure who the heck this guy is. He's not the feudal lord. It's just some guy they're talking to over a video call.
Yeah, that's more than likely the feudal lord. He looks different than what he does in the anime, but that's more than likely the feudal lord that's more than likely him from the Mujina Bandits arc.
Yeah, and why the heck do the elders have thrones? This makes no freaking sense.
I think that's just their seats or just comfortable chairs for them, because the elders have got to be at like what, almost Inoki's age, over 100 or close to it.
These two should have been long retired from the elders because their advice sucks. It's proven it sucked, given what happened with the J Clan massacre. Indirectly, they're kind of indirectly responsible for it without them knowing about it.
Danzo played more of a role than Hamura and Koharu did. They covered for Danzo in terms of Danzo's machinations, because it was largely in service to the Leaf. But yeah, they covered for him, even at Hiru's detriment.
Their advice kind of indirectly led to the J Clan massacre.
That's a fair argument. I'm not going to lie. But by that logic, Hiruzen's just as guilty.
And the fact also that Naruto doesn't trust him.
Rightfully so.
Given what they show his Mitsuki experience arc, where he kept the secret from them that Orochimaru was their father, and they were completely upset with him over it. I would say they were more upset than Tsunade was. And that was her return to the anime. I was great to see her. And of course, still use her jutsu to keep herself young. She's probably like 70.
Hold on. She was pushing 50 when she debuted in part 1. She was like 49, right at 50 years old. Hold on. I may have to go back to the wiki after this. But yeah, she was every bit 50 years old by part 1. By the time part 1 ended, she was every bit 50.
I think Jiraiya mentioned she was in her mid-50s when they first met her in the original series. And then a few years passed by, still in her 50s. I'd say she's probably pushing 70 by now, even 70? Though she clearly doesn't look it.
70 or 75. I may have to go back to the official Naruto.
And the fact is, it's kind of weird. So Naruto calls her Granny Tsunade, and so is Boruto. Now I get maybe Naruto is basically Pokemon her age, but in the anime they never really stated of why that Boruto was afraid of her. It's like, oh crap, it's Granny Tsunade, and no follow up to it because Tsunade has never interacted with Boruto the whole series.
It's just a cheeky reference. At least that's what I interpret it as.
But the way his reaction is like, oh, he did something really bad that involved her, and he's embarrassed to talk about it.
Probably because Boruto was a brat back then, and he made the grave mistake of making fun of Tsunade or referring to her being old. Which
I don't think he peeped on her. No,
he disrespected her. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, unlike in the case of Naruto, who was a bit of a pervert, Boruto is a complete gentleman.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because if you think about it, has he ever actually peeped on anyone in the whole series? Ever walked in a woman who was by? No. He's never started doing that. Because aside from the fact he kind of acts like Naruto, but not completely a carbon copy of Naruto.
Oh yeah,
he looks like Naruto. He acts like Naruto. Kind of, yes, at the beginning. But time went on, nope. One thing, he's not afraid of ghosts like Naruto was. He doesn't spy on women. And at this point, he's very serious. He's more serious than his father was very comedic. That was Naruto's charm.
I suppose that's fair. I was just going to say he did something similar to what Sora did, called her old or disrespected her. Mm-hmm. If there was a lag in the stream, folks, I want to make it perfectly clear that I said disrespected, not peeped. I just want to go ahead and make that clear now. But hey, it could have just been just a running gag, or maybe he's just repeating what his father said. And he just knows to not have a reputation. So it is what it is.
Yep. And after that brief scene with the elders and the feudal lord, then we continue the conversation between Ida and Shikamaru, which she suspects that Shikamaru had a hand in Boruto escaping the village, which he did. She knows about it, but she's not going to tell anybody about it because she can overhear everything. And then, of course, he mentions about Gaara, the fact he's been sealed. And then, of course, she mentions the divine tree looks like Bug.
I forget his name.
But yeah, he finds she kind of annoying, which, given how Bug was originally, I can kind of buy that. So the ability, the bugs are cold, and like using Mitsuki's escape. Now, he does mention he doesn't want to be near her because of her aura involving like anyone who sees her, with the exception of Boruto, Sadara, and Sasumori, seem like everyone who basically sees her in person, they all blush. I mean, her ability is immune to basically her brother and Boruto because basically blood relative in case of brother, Boruto because he's an Orotsuki. Sadara, I think because she's a woman, and the fact that Sadara doesn't see Sadara as somebody she can be romantic involved with, despite the fact that Chocho did that to her for some reason, where she blushed when he saw her. That's what it showed in the anime, where she blushed when he saw her. Sadara is like completely immune to it, and so is Sasumori. They're both immune to her power.
Now, I don't want to. Again, there are certain theories on that. There's nothing particularly like, the only real things we know about it is how the only people who are immune are those with karma or Tsutsuki DNA or blood relatives. Those are the only ones that are directly immune to Ada's charm ability, at least directly immune to it.
But Sadara has shown she's completely immune to it, and so is Sasumori.
Potential plot hole, I guess.
I think in the case of Sadara, because she's Uchiha.
Maybe.
And their power comes from the Orotsuki, so that's maybe a loose connection. For Sasumori, I'm guessing it's probably her pet.
Yeah, Nue was Kaguya's personal summoning that got passed down after she was sealed, and her father did technically seal Nue into her just before his unaliving. Because this is also being streamed on YouTube, so I have to be very careful with my words. But but that's because in terms of Sumire, that's a loose connection at best. Sarada's a bit more plausible, especially because she's developed the Mangekyo by this point. But Sumire is a very loose connection.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably just her pet, but that's just my personal theory. But I do know she's immune to the memory reversal thing because Sadara was shown using her Sharingan at that point. Sumire, I think because she was near her at the time, or at least maybe look at her when that happened. That's probably the reason why that she was immune to it. So after this, they chat for a while, and then we show Boruto in his new punk haircut, which is different than we had during the flashback with Kojin. He shows a little markability, which at some of his because he's got like the shaved head side, like a crew cut, and him wearing a different shirt that he did previously because His shirt he had pre-time skip was a regular white T-shirt. This looks like a button-up shirt that he's wearing with the collar, and it's almost like he's wearing like a suit with all these medals on him, which they did explain the flash of where they came from, and talk about thinking out loud, and then Shikamaru sees a toad in Ida's hair. Normally, girls would basically scream when a toad touch them, but Ida, nope, no issues with toad touching her. Like, frog! That's normally a gag for either American fiction. Not much in Japanese fiction per se that I've seen where girls are afraid of frogs. Very rarely. I see it's more American fiction does that. Here she's like, oh, she has a frog right here. And then, of course, it's basically Kashikojin basically explaining that, asking, send Konohamaru, Sada, and Mitsuki to the land of wind relating to stuff with Konkaru. And he's doing his via his toad. And after this conversation, no questions. And then eventually, after several pages, he just leaves. Follow your heart, good future. Ada probably does not know what the heck is going on. And then Shikamaru lights a cigarette. I guess he's going to have...
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you went out for a second.
Yeah. Shikamaru lit a cigarette. Yeah. So he must not give the habit of smoking because I think it's the first time he's actually smoking the series. Because I think he did that once in the Boruto anime and maybe a couple times in the manga. He did do it during the last season of Naruto where he smoked. Which he picked the habit from his master, Ashima. Which I think is a bad habit to pick up, given the fact he has a kid now. But at least he's doing it outside. Which is a smart thing. Because I think even I'm sure you can have a smoke, fine. Have it do it outside, don't do it inside. Because he has to meet people. Because, yes, I know Hanzen, basically, he's a Thorokage. He smoked too, but he smoked a pipe, not a cigarette. And what I've seen in fiction, it was cool to smoke. Nowadays, no. There's some people I do know at my work who do smoke, but me personally, not interested at all.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of it myself.
Because I've seen what a smoking salon looks like via some health books I took in school. I was like, nope, not interested at all. So that's the reason why I don't smoke. Because I know what would happen if people smoke. And plus, I'm just not interested at all. So, and then we have a scene with Sumari, like Fallen Heart, like bring up, and she's like leaning in some store window. Can't tell where she is. And then we have Team 7, minus Boruto, going to the Hidden Sand Village. And then they run into making the first time skip Shiki's team. Yudo and Aura. Yeah, they're here. And of course, basically, I think this is supposed to be Aura is the girl. Yeah, they get her punk look. Where she has, looks like she's wearing adult type lower half underwear. You know, where like shows up above her pants.
I get it, Nick. Just try to watch your wording. I don't want to get demonetized.
Yeah. But at least the other guy, he looks pretty normal. But at least she's not doesn't dress like outrageous like the Hidden Leaf ninjas do, where they look like freaking punks. It's like, oh, she like her rebellious teenage. Okay, she wears like this outfit. At least she looks kind of normal as compared to the other ones. So they get moving, and or charge change, and then we see two of the Divine Tree people. One is a woman, the other is a guy. And they see a toad in the ground. And then they say, oh, this is a clue lead to Boruto. And that's the chapter. kind of a interesting ending to the chapter. Like maybe they might know about they might know about Kashikojin, but nothing really confirmed here. So I would say the only thing you could take from this chapter is that Sumari still has feelings for Boruto, and like she's not joking about it. She's very serious that she has feelings for him. Sadara, and she's jealous of Sadara for hugging him.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of. Oh, what's up, Najee? There was definitely a lot of shit bait in this chapter, and I'm just like, okay, it's part of the fandom, it's part of this whole process, but nothing in the scenes in question really happens here. I mean, there's a brief gag with Ada being curious by the prospect of and the drama of what's going on, but other than that, this really doesn't amount to anything. Not in the grand chapter, unless you're counting Yodo's brief teasing towards the end of the last couple of pages.
I would say the biggest thing to take away from this chapter is kind of continuing developing the mentor-teacher relationship between Boruto and Kachikojin.
Yes, the flashbacks were definitely a highlight of this chapter.
Mm-hmm. Because it felt like not much was going on in this chapter. It felt like very little advancement when it comes to story. It felt like basically like a relaxing chapter with the exception of the opening flashback. It's like moving forward, but not by much.
Yeah, it definitely feels like we're transitioning into a new arc proper. I'm calling it the return arc. I don't know what the official name is going to be, so take this with a grain of salt. The return arc, I'm just calling it the return arc. Roughly stands from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 10, chapter 12. And then 13 is kind of a setup chapter, and then 14 through 16 is kind of an epilogue to set up for the Sand Village arc. At least the way I'm structuring it.
Have you noticed we haven't seen Sai yet in this post-time skip stuff? I haven't seen him at all.
Wait, wasn't he in the interrogation scene in chapter 14?
No, that was the regular interrogator.
Oh, that was Ibiki. Okay, my mistake.
Ibiki. I've not seen him at all post-time skip. Haven't seen 1010 at all. Trying to think who else has not been seen. Kakashi's not been seen. I don't remember seeing him. Have you?
No. The last time we saw Kakashi in any official Boruto media was a brief cameo to set up Kakashi Retsuden and that whole when Sasuke Resident was adapted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't know why only Sasuke Resident specifically got adapted. That is a overarching trilogy to where all three stories take place roughly around the same time, if not a couple of days apart from each other.
And the ending was rushed.
Yeah, you've said that multiple times, Nick. The ending was rushed. I mean, if you had to drag it out one more episode, like how would you wrap it up? Would you at least reference Naruto Resident with the chakra illness, or?
I would have brought it up, and if I were the anime, I would have adapted the Kakashi book at the same time because there's plenty of story that you can definitely tell. Because I would recommend we cut to that every episode per se. Just have between like every episode we have Kakashi stuff, and next time we have Shikamaru as like every episode like you have Kakashi, Sasuke the first episode, and the next episode we do Sasuke, and the next one Kakashi do. Back and forward to both books coincide with the ending of each other.
Yeah, because Naruto's portion, Naruto Resident, he's recuperating and then try experiments with some new technology with Orochimaru while waiting on the cure. So Naruto's kind of like Naruto's section is kind of Naruto's section doesn't really get a lot of focus in the trilogy. It's kind of just written just to give Naruto something to do because he's the title character.
And also reveal that Himawari gives Orochimaru a nickname. I think she comes Uchi. Because they read the book, that's what she calls him. And he apparently does not probably call that.
In my opinion, I would have just adapted Kakashi Resident beginning to end. I mean, I would have gone for the full trilogy whole stop. Maybe what I would have done, how I would have structured it, is have the Naruto Resident be scaled down to a subplot do Kakashi Resident and Naruto Resident around the same time, with Naruto's portion being more of a subplot, and then allude to Sasuke Resident, and then towards the latter half, go ahead and adapt Sasuke Resident in the back half. Kind of make it 2 arcs back to back.
My guess is the reason why Sasuke was adapted over Kakashi's. He's a fan favorite. People love Sasuke.
Yes, by that logic, Kakashi's considered a fan favorite too. But hey, it could have been a licensing dispute.
Sasuke is probably like a little bit more than Kakashi is.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yep.
But again, this all ties back to licensing at the end of the day. Maybe the power in terms of international and the anime staff with Studio Pierrot, they only let you adapt one, or at least material from one light novel at a time. With Parent and Child Day, that you didn't get Shikamaru. What's it called? The Parent and Child Day is based off Naruto Shinden, Konoha Shinden, and Shikamaru Shinden. They kind of took elements from Shikamaru Shinden to set up the Akuta arc with Anoki leading to a sacrifice, or at least that filler arc was inspired by Shikamaru Shinden, but it wasn't a direct adaptation of itself. Naruto Shinden got adapted in two episodes, The Parent and Child Day, not the full novel, just elements of it were for 2 episodes.
I think the Parent Child Day was 3 episodes.
3 episodes? I thought it was 2. Okay, but
it was 3. I think it was episodes. I think it was like 93 to 95. The one that was longer was Ninja Scrolls. That took up like 6 episodes.
Yeah. Konoha. That was Konoha Shinden. Was that Konoha Shinden or Konoha? Yeah, that was Konoha Shinden. Yeah. That took 6 episodes. And it even got a manga adaptation during the pandemic. I want to say 2021, 2022.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, that one has been released here. The actual original light novel has not been released here at all. And that is on Viz Media's part. We're not releasing it here.
But
yeah, the air stuff was released here from Boruto. I know because I own them.
Nice.
Yep. What ranking do you want to give this chapter?
I give it a 7 out of 10. I mean, I was never a big fan of ship baiting or ships to begin with. It's kind of necessary for melodrama and to keep the audience invested. It's kind of the necessary evil of this type of storytelling. So factoring that, I'd give this chapter a 7. The flashbacks were a highlight. It definitely sets up the action for the next arc. I probably would have tweaked some things here and there, but I'm not going to say the chapter was bad outright. Nick, what about you?
I would give it roughly 8.
That's fair.
It didn't feel like advanced so much for, but I'd say here are the three major highlights of this chapter: the flashback, the stuff with Sasumari, and the ending.
Yep, I agree. I completely agree.
Yep, and we're probably getting another one next one, and that'll be the last of the year for Vortex.
Yeah, the last chapter of the year. It'll be
chapter 17.
Yeah, chapter 17. That'll be but depending on because I know what's it called? The big shonen conference they do at the end of the year.
I think it was
Jump Fiesta.
Yes. Yeah. I was hearing some anime are not like there's some anime not get a lot of attention. Like one anime that a lot of people really would love to see any word about it is Black Clover, but they're getting like a small. Before I heard they're gonna get revealed some like original artwork per se from the manga, but no anime announcements for it. Like,
yeah, it's gonna be a very small panel from what I heard.
Yes, in my honest opinion, here's the thing. As of March of next year, it would have been 4 years since the end of the anime. 4 years. And in that period of time, there has been plenty of material released since then. There has been probably close to 100 chapters released since the end of the anime. Almost 100 chapters, almost 4 years. So, there's plenty of material to do this season for the anime. I would just do the ending of that last arc left with, and then wait till this arc ends before you do that arc.
Yeah, definitely not rush it. But this is a fan request I received, and I was gonna let it be a separate video, but I'll go ahead and ask you now. If you had any predictions for the return of the Boruto anime, and again, any requests I receive, I will leave as anonymous. But if you see any predictions for the return of the anime, do you think they'll go straight to Tubu Vortex and then adapt the code and then adapt the Omnipotence arc in flashbacks, or will we just cut right where the code arc left off?
I'm just hoping. Well, one thing I would think they would that I think they should do. Don't go exactly where we left off. Like, I would suggest start with the light novels that you have, because yes, I'm sure that the Boruto manga probably is still a good amount of material you can adapt for full arc, but there's still other material you can adapt before you get to that ending of that particular thing. Because I think the code arc, I think that ended the actual original manga for Boruto.
Yeah, but some fans like to split the Omnipotence arc as kind of its own thing. But technically, the Omnipotence arc, where Ada ends up using it to bail out Kawaki, it's only 3 chapters. By the time the fight code itself wraps up, it's literally 3 to 4 chapters later. Like, that's not enough for a full arc adaptation wise for an anime.
That's like a standalone episode.
If that. I mean, maybe enough for an OVA episode. Maybe. But if you had some original scenes. But yeah, like Nick said, that's about a full episode's worth at most.
Plus, there's plenty of light novels the anime could adapt if they wanted to. Like the Gara one. You could have him sit in his office and you have him think about what happened in the Gara light novel. Like how he got his like the origin. You could say, oh, this is the origin story of how he got Shiki, his adopted son. And you adapt that whole light novel fully. Also, we bring back his dub actor, Liam O'Brien.
Nice.
Because he did, like, I didn't get a chance to watch Boruto dubbed, but he did an amazing job voicing Gar in the original series, both in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden in all the movies I saw.
He did. Now, I do remember the only light novel, at least directly by this point in the series canonically, that did not get adapted was Sasuke Shinden. The one where Sasuke takes over Team 7 after Konohamaru gets injured on a mission.
That one and the Shikamaru one, the one where he visits Ognoki.
Technically, because they reference Anoki's death and they kind of use plot points from that to set up to warrant or set up the Akuta arc. It's not a direct adaptation by any means, but the influence is there.
But it was a good story because basically the whole thing was all focused on Shikamaru himself. And you saw him, if you saw the cover of the book, you're like, oh, is his son get involved in the story? Not really. His son has very little to do with the story. It's all about Shikamaru and him, like, the thing opens up with him and Okinoki playing shogi.
And spoilers, I'm not going to go into too much spoilers for this. The whole thing kind of leads into a territorial dispute. Again, that is as much as I'm going to say. I would highly recommend you track down a fan translation or an official translation and read Shikamaru Shinden for yourself.
Well, you actually can purchase it on Amazon if you want to, because Visme released a year.
Okay.
Here's something that you might find interesting. Guess how many times in Boruto that Shikamaru was seen playing shogi?
3.
I think like once with his son. I think that was. I know he did play a lot with Ashima. He played once with his father, which he lost, which I thought was so funny. I'm sure his son Shikadai, he would love him as his awesome grandfather. He probably like, "Hey, Grandpa, how'd you get the scars on your face?" Because there's one thing in particular they never mention of how they got the scars. He could say, "Oh, he got it from like maybe some other mission went on." They never really explain that. It's like, oh, he's got scars on his face. Okay. So, I'm sure there's a story there. Kishimoto never told it.
And I know this was largely retcon to cement the themes and everything going on in the Kawaki or the Owl arc as the anime dubbed it. But there's no way an Owl should have survived the Biju bomb when it went off in the command center. Realistically, there is no way he should have survived that.
If he survived, then Shikamaru's father, Ino's father, should have survived.
Because think about it, even if he was using a water style jutsu as a construct, he sensed it approaching. He was going to reach landfall. He was right at the epicenter. So
yeah, basically when he was standing in the anime, he was right near that water globe.
So yeah, even if the Biju bomb literally pierced didn't detonate right away, You would have to. The only way you could explain this is if the walls or the foundation ruptured on impact just before even the explosion itself. Al was buried under the debris, slowly bleeding out over the course of a day and a half, plus the infinite Tsukiyomi, which arguably factors an extra day because Naruto and Sasuke were fighting a day straight. Then the Tsukiyomi
I
gets
don't think he was effective at because they have that thing would all over look like I don't look like all over the country. It covered everybody. I don't think it affected him because he was covered by debris. So I think he may have been immune to it. That's my personal theory. He maybe because all the debris around him. I think all those that webbing thing that basically wrapped everybody up.
He was underground. He was buried in rubble.
Yeah, I don't think it affected. I think he was under that rubble, so I don't think he was affected by it.
Still doesn't change the fact that he was buried alive for a day and a half straight. Well,
I think that they got inspiration from 9/11. Because the story that I've heard about it, there was a group of firefighters buried the World Trade Center for like a week before they were found, and they were alive. I think, and they adapted for a movie, World Trade Center with Nicolas Cage. Yes, they did go over a bit of gore with one of the moments which happened in the actual thing, but they had these firefighters trapped underground for like a while, but they weren't buried by rubble. They were like underground, yes, but they were like buried, and it took a while to get them out. He was covered by the rubble.
Yeah, but there was an air pocket there. At least when what you're referring to, what happened with the World Trade Center, those fighter fighters were buried in what was essentially a small air pocket, and they were able to hold out until they were done.
I think he must take inspiration from that, but it's not exactly a carbon copy of what happened there.
That's fair. I'll leave it. We'll leave it at that because that's probably the best explanation we're going to get.
Because I never met him at all. Because here's the thing, Kishimoto has been over here
a few times.
Yes, I think he mostly went to California cons. I don't think he's ever been to Florida.
No.
I think he's the only mangaka I've heard of come over here because Akira Toriyama never came over here when Dragon Ball was active. He never came here. Oda, I don't think he's been over here, but I know he has been out of the country to see the shooting for the One Piece live action series.
Yep.
Kubo, I don't think so. Kubo hasn't been over here. But aside from Kishimoto, I can't think of any major manga creator has been over here besides him.
But Toriyama was always a recluse. He was a very, very private man. Like, even by mangaka standards, the guy was a recluse.
I do know he has a son.
He does.
Which is named Sasuke because it has been reported the character Sasuke is named after Kiritoma's son. Even though personality-wise, he's very similar to Vegeta.
Well, most antagonist. Well, yeah. If you're gonna have a antagonist or rival character in your anime, Vegeta's a pretty good template.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that Mandara, he was loosely inspired by Frieza.
No. I could see Aizen being inspired by Frieza, but Madara, no.
I've heard he's loosely inspired by him. That's what I've heard. Speaking of Aizen, he returned in the Bleach anime recently in the recent episode. I know it's a bit of a spoiler, but he returned. And Kyle Herbert voiced him again, which I was so happy with that.
I would argue
this stuff is so hilarious because I love the stuff with those guys in the Bleach anime. According to Kyle Herbert, he thought he'd do more because he's voicing a villain. But I think he just enjoyed himself voicing a villain.
I guess so.
Especially as his outfit, like, it's not the outfit he had when he was last seeing the anime because it's him covered in bandages because he is so powerful. And I appreciate Vince Media for keeping him because I think he likes voicing him. I think he's like the only major villain he's ever voiced in the anime I can think of because Kyle Herbert tends to voice heroes.
He does.
And those of you curious, did he voice anybody in the Naruto franchise? He did. He voiced Kiba.
Yeah, he always gets very arrogant or cocky characters when he's casted for dubs.
And he told me this in person. He watched Blue Exorcist.
Hello?
Yeah. You ever watch Blue Exorcist?
Briefly, I do. Yeah, I saw the first season of Blue Exorcist, then I kind of fell off.
You know the character Bone?
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's also played by Kyle Herbert as well.
Hmm.
I did ask him this because a lot of his characters do sound different. Why does Bone and Kiba sound very similar? Aside from the fact it's the same person. According to him, he said the reason why he did it because both were the same age. That's the reason why. Because if you notice how he sounds voicing Bone and Kiba, they sound very similar.
Yeah,
because
their characters are in the same age range.
Yeah, that's the reason why. And I pointed out to him on my Twitch stream that the oldest character he's voiced, because is it Gohan? Is it various other characters? Like, what is the oldest character voiced in by age? Sullivan from Welcome Demon School Ermakun, a 1,000-year-old demon. Like, you look at any character, like, generally put like 20s or 40s, but he's like the oldest I've ever seen.
Interesting.
Heck, I recommend the series to Lucy Christian. And she said you check it out because Kira Buckland's in it. Because I think she knows Kira Buckland. So when I told her, she's like, "Ooh, I'm very." He's like, she seems like she's very interested in it.
But
now we're talking about the Boruto chapter because we discussed it thoroughly.
That we do. That we do. Mm-hmm. Any predictions you say for this for the next chapter? Because I know, depending, it might get extended to the new year. We don't know about anything on chapter 17. Mm-hmm. But I personally feel like Konohama's going to be killed off.
I think we might fight the next chapter. Yeah, what we're seeing in this chapter, we're probably going to see a fight scene soon between Team 7 and these two divine trees.
I've actually seen a fan theory going around where they might try to do something similar to Aizen, where they kind of make a model like this big mastermind towards the end. And I don't think you can make a motto the second Aizen. It's just a lot went into that reveal, and a motto is just so straightforward. It just wouldn't be the same.
He doesn't have like power. Plus, Amado doesn't have power like Aizen does. He's not OP powerful. Amado is just a guy. He's a normal guy who just happened to be a genius.
Yeah, I'm not bad-mouthing the character. I will give him his props. He did ultimately trick Ishiki into overplaying his hand and defeating the body of Jigen, further weakening him. But the only reason he was able to pull that off was because Kajin Koji used direct summonings instead of actual chakra-based attacks. Mm-hmm. And the only reason, all he did was destroy the body and back Ishiki into a corner. And anything after that was just Ishiki's own hubris by just dragging the fight.
And he's the only character active in the series after Shikamaru smokes.
I'm not going to say Amado is going to be this big mastermind like Aizen was, but I will say he will have a relative role, especially what happened with his daughter Akebi. Mm-hmm. But if I had to factor...
which Delta is based on her.
True. But if I have to factor it, I feel like his big tragedy and what leads to him inspired and all this stuff with Kara and all that, Ishiki / Jigen was more aware of Amado than he thought, and Boro poisoned her to get him to cooperate on a false promise that he could cure her. Mm-hmm. Even if Boro extracted the actual poison itself, the damage was already done by that point. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's going to be like this big motivation more than anything else. Like, okay, you cost me my daughter. You screwed me over. I'm going to bring your whole organization down. Mm-hmm. And then Ishiki falters because he was arrogant. Like, okay, this is just a lowly human. He's not a threat to me.
Which we don't know exactly what Kara was, what type of organization they were, because I know that this was supposed to be the new Akatsuki. At least Akatsuki did stuff. These guys, aside from some science stuff and one running a cult, not a lot of stuff they're involved with.
Yeah, Delta was a crash out. Boro was help structuring everything via the cult. Code was a loyal zealot. Deepa and Anime Original, Deepa with Anime Original was kind of an enforcer, and Victor, the one who
I
owned the
think they
company,
describe him as outer.
he was technically an outer, but he had a standing within the inner circle, hence the numeral marking.
I think
Deepa,
he was number 8.
yes, he was number 8 if I remember correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and Victor helped legitimize everything through his company.
And then there was that old man.
Yeah, that's
That,
Victor.
yeah. Um, in the manga, he didn't do very much. He did very little in manga before he died.
No, most of his Go ahead.
Most stuff he did was basically in original.
Yeah, because I believe it was chapter 26. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it was chapter 26. Koji exposes him, checks it, and takes him down relatively easily. Even if Victor was planning something, it was awfully convenient.
Yeah, and they show in the anime, because they didn't show us in the manga, he actually did try to steal the blimp that had
Kawaki in it.
yes, he tried to steal it. But he didn't crash it. As for what crashed it per se, I think they said maybe Kashikochi made something to do with it, or Mondo.
They allude to the two sabotaging the blimp, but it was never directly stated.
Yeah, and it never was followed up on, either in the manga or the anime. It's like it was there and just move on. But it was a cool sight to see.
But yeah, in terms of the requested question before we got derailed, me personally, it's not really worth adapting the quote unquote omnipotence arc because it's only 3 to 4 chapters worth of material at best. It's really not worth your time. You could probably do the whole thing in a flashback.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I would do it, especially since Two Blue Vortex, and I probably misspelled it here in the heading. I just now noticed that, but yeah, I just would go straight to Two Blue Vortex because for all intents and purposes, this helped rebrand the series. So I would just follow with that synergy and just rebrand altogether and just move on with the time skip.
I'm looking at basically how you spell vortex. It's how Weekly Shonen Jump app spells it.
Yeah, but it was Bor till I misspelled, and I just now noticed that.
I'm looking at it right now. I don't think he misspelled it because it looks pretty much correct. Because I have the app right here in front of me. So
okay,
you spell it correctly.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, just if it were up to me, I would just go straight to Two Blue Vortex and then maybe reference the omnipotent stuff in a flashback. It's just not worth it unless you're specifically going to go out of your way to either. The only alternative now, I will play devil's advocate out of respect for this viewer who requested it. Either go the OVA route and have it explained in a flashback, or a movie to where the entire thing gets adapted in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it acts as a transition to Blue Vortex.
Yeah, because there's no material there for because you can do that as like a standalone episode, like a full standalone episode. You can have it roughly for like an hour, but not a whole arc.
It's unless you're going to add a lot of anime original content and just drag it out.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no point.
Yep.
That's why this is one of the few times I would say the anime original ending they did was best. Because even if they didn't, lead to the omnipotent, first of all, chapter 81 didn't even come out till a couple chapters after the anime officially ended, first of all. Second, even if they did try to follow the manga, fully catch up and wrap up to where the manga was at that time, we didn't know where chapter 81 was going to lead to, and it would have been rushed. So you might as well just settle for an anime original ending and call it a day. If you want the omnipotence art to play out or get adapted, either in flashback or a hour long special, you might be able to stretch it to a 2-parter, but it'd be a stretch for syndication purposes. But it would be a stretch.
Yes. Plus, like I said, there's a bunch of light novels they could adapt to.
Yeah, you could definitely. It just depends It just depends how the anime wants to structure it. They could give more time for the manga to expand by going to the light novels. It just however they want to do it, because There was an original
I suggest if you want to do like the one set in the blank period, do his flashbacks.
That's probably the only way you can do it, if I'm being honest.
Because some of these ones should have adapted for Shippuden. Like the soccer one, the Gara one, and the Costco and should have adapted for the main series. But we had to do Boruto. Like, it was like a week after the 500 episode came out. That's when Boruto started.
Yeah, it was rushed. Like, even the original movie in 2015, you had 2 years. And the only ones you could really say were at least satisfactory as an adaptation were Sasuke's post-Shippuden novel. I forget the name just now. Sasuke's novel, Sasuke's post-Shippuden novel. The
Shikamaru was mostly adapted, except they cut a lot of Naruto stuff out.
They did cut a lot of Naruto scene, that one. And Itachi, they did change some details leading up to the Uchiha massacre with certain character deaths, but Daylight and Moonlight was adapted pretty well for the most part.
There was a Hidden Leaf one they adapted for the final episodes. That was not an original. That was an actual light novel. I don't know if that was fully adapted or not because I've actually not read it.
It did lead up to Naruto and Hinata's wedding, but I would not count that as a full adaptation, at least compared to what I read.
Yeah, I think that they should have had the final episode be the actual wedding, not just lead to it.
That's fair.
Because the only time we kind of saw this was in the credit sequence for the last.
Yeah, we saw a brief montage of it leading, and then it kind of segued to a post-credit scene where Naruto, Boruto, and Himawari were playing in the snow prior to Naruto's inauguration day. I think Boruto was 5 and Himawari was 3, and then Naruto gets inaugurated like 2 years later. After that scene takes place.
Which they had a short call day at Naruto become Hokage, and then for some reason they put it as a flashback one of the episodes.
Episode 18, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was the episode where Himawari got sick. And then, of course, you had Boruto and Naruto arguing like, oh, Himawari wants hamburgers. Himawari wants ramen. So, if they're in the house, so they went to eating ramen, which somehow he still had his lifetime ticket with him. After 15 years of marriage, he finally still has the damn thing. And apparently, it's expanded from an actual stand to a full-blown restaurant. And the original retired, and his daughter is running the place.
Yeah, and I believe one of the OVAs gets referenced in a really funny way.
Yeah, it was the Glutton Queen.
Yeah, one of the OVAs get referenced.
I'm actually quite surprised that got referenced. Because normally that the OVAs, from what I can tell for Naruto, they're generally not considered to be canon. I've never heard any of them considered to be canon. But I think that's the first one considered to be canon.
I believe so as well. Or it was just a really funny joke and the anime staff just couldn't help themselves.
Yeah, and somehow, as thin as Nanada is, somehow she's the Glutton Queen.
We know. I can't say it because we'll get demonetized, but we know.
Yeah, and also the fact that still in her early 30s, she's still thin. And I think, unlike in the case of some people retired, she's technically not retired. I think she's semi-retired.
Yeah.
Because she's still active.
Yeah, she still gets missions, even though it's only in the novels where I don't even think we see her in action in the novels. It's just alluded that she's still considered active. The only ones who are officially retired are Shino because he became a teacher, Anko, but we know what happened with her character design.
I think Kiba became a cop.
I feel like Kiba's semi-active, but he mostly works with the police division for the most part.
And I think Rock Lee works with him.
Yeah. So yeah.
I don't know what he does nowadays. I know Tenten runs a shop.
Yeah.
Ino is the head of communications department.
Yeah, Ino's active, but with her mind jutsu, she can multitask. Is what I'm trying to say.
I think Sai is the head of Black Ops.
Yeah, which were rebranded after the root members were exposed, and that all gets explained in the New Way arc.
I'm trying to think. I know Sasuke is still wandering. I think Sakura is the head of the hospital.
Medical division, yes. Tsunade's retired. The elders.
Retired.
Yes, United's retired. The elders still kind of play a consultant or a counseling role, but they're not active in terms of influencing Naruto's decisions as Hokage.
That's basically, even though Kakashi retired, he still looks in shape.
Yeah, Kakashi's only like 50. Like Kakashi's in his early 50s.
He doesn't look it.
Yeah, Kakashi was relatively young.
His hair has always been white.
Silver, white to silver. Like he's always looked that way.
Even when he was a teenager, was like that too. Because that flashback with the Team Minto team, his hair was still white as well.
Yeah, Sakamo Hatake. He unalived by Sinaboku or honorable suicide. Apologies if I missed.
Yes, because he decided to abandon his mission to save his team, which he got a lot of flack for. And then he committed suicide. And apparently, Obito had a lot of respect for him before he passed away.
Obito, but yes.
He mentioned that to him. I don't think he was a fan of his per se. I think he just had a lot of respect for him as a fellow ninja.
Yeah, prioritizing his comrades rather than just getting the job done. He respected the guy, but he's not gonna speak on his behalf or anything like that. He just respected
that would probably be Kakashi's job.
Yeah. But
which you remember when Granny Chio first saw him, it's like, White Fang, I'm gonna avenge my son, and then she's like knocked into a wall, and then Sakura asks Kakashi like, "Who's White Fang?" And Kakashi's like, "My father," because he looks exactly like him. No surprise, because that's generally what happens with fathers and sons. Because I can look at you, that is no surprise at all. It even happens in real life. I've seen where sometimes the sons look like their father, so that's just natural.
Now, you can argue, personalities or interests are different, but there's going to be a resemblance regardless.
Mm-hmm. Like in the case of Naruto, he physically looks like his father, except for the whiskers.
Yeah, but he definitely resembles Kushina more in terms of personality and temper.
Yeah, in the case of his son Boruto, appearance-wise, yeah, he looks like his father. Personality...
He kind of reminds me more of Neji, if I'm being honest.
Yes, Himawari... Well, she obviously looks like her mom.
And she does take more from Naruto, if I'm being correct. She just has a better temperament than he did at her age.
Though I've heard also she gets her grandmother's anger.
Oh, yeah, when he knocks... I mean, you have to do a lot to set Himawari off.
Even though she's from the Hyuga clan, like she's descended from the Hyuga clan, she can turn Byakugan on and off. Hinata cannot.
At least not that well. But the only time we've ever seen Himawari truly get mad was during a temper tantrum when Boruto accidentally ripped her stuffed animal because he didn't want to be dragging it all day after the ceremony. I mean, that was a temper tantrum. Just imagine what Himawari could do, especially now she has a residual of Kurama, and she's royally pissed.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if Kurama remembers that incident.
He probably does.
He probably mentioned it to her, probably off screen, like, "Hey, remember when you knocked me out when Naruto became Hokage?" Because basically, when she punched Naruto, he got hit too.
Yeah, it was his central chakra point. They couldn't do anything for a whole day. Well, I mean, Kurama probably woke up first, but Naruto was out cold.
And Hammer had to pose as him. I thought that was so funny. It was a funny OVA, but it's surprisingly it's canon.
It is.
It's silly. I think for the longest time, I think it was the only OVA ever considered to be officially canon.
Not counting the Akatsuki origin from the Storm games. Not counting those.
Yeah, not counting those, but generally put the day Naruto Hokage, the OVA is always considered canon. I think because Kishimoto himself wrote it.
That's probably why.
And they adapted for an episode of the anime, probably because they had material. So, hey, let's do this OVA as canon, as a flashback.
Yep. But all in all, I mean, I probably did a video on this previously, but Boruto was even that big of a brat. Even a lot of the baggage the anime gets is largely due to how the anime went about changing things. In the manga, even in the fast forward in chapter 1, he openly admitted he was a brat back then. That is one of the first things he says in dialogue. Mm-hmm. And the anime, we just cut to the brief skirmish between Boruto and Kawaki, and then cut right back to when Boruto's trying to prepare for his first day of the academy, which kind of leads to a kind of a continuity hiccup
kind of like the first 2 episodes of Super, where you start at a specific point in time and then you cut to present day. With Boruto, it's kind of worse because you already got the flash forward. Then you cut to Boruto in his class first day of the academy when they're canonically supposed to be about 8, but because they don't get a younger character model or design, you can't tell. And then it cuts to their last year before the Guinea exams in the present day.
Yes, I believe. Also, in the first episode, they had we got to do a bang the first episode. So let's have Naruto run a train to the Hokage Mount.
And like I said, if you actually go by the numbers in the timeline, Boruto's supposed to be 8 when this happens. He's supposed to be 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like during this and somewhat the second episode, because it's shortly after his suspension. He gets suspended for the first couple of weeks, and he ends up picking a fight with Iwabe. But
one thing I noticed though about his team, which also includes Dinky, they never put in the manga.
No, Denki is anime original, though his character design did stem from a fan contest. Sumire or Krasloep got canonized, but I think she's the only one who got canonized into the manga proper. Metal Lee did too, but it was only in 1 chapter.
Yeah. I kind of wish they would bring their teams in because I think they're good characters.
Yeah.
I appreciate when episodes focus on them. Dinky's team has had in 203 episodes. I think they had cup focus episodes, and they were part of the second Hidden Mist arc.
Yeah, they even had a second Chunin exam because towards the latter, as you go further in the manga, originally it was supposed to be referenced in the light novels that Sarada got promoted to Chunin, but we never directly saw it. Not in the manga at least. But
also the fact that Boruto and Mitsuki were late.
Yeah, and that's why they were disqualified because of it. But they did end up getting their fight later that day.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would have basically got a way to get around the fact they were late, but they had a good reason they were late.
Yeah, they were dealing with a hostage situation with Amato, but you easily could have had this fight and nothing would change in this Chunin arc entirely.
Yeah, and the one thing they could have done, well, they had cell phones in the series. They could have had Boruto call up basically maybe Konohaba, hey, sorry, we're running late because we're dealing with hostage crisis. Because technically, they do kind of have phones in the series.
Yeah, but the majority of the competitors in that second Chunin exams, at least one from each team gets promoted. Sarada gets promoted for Team 7. Shikadai already had promotion from the Momoshiki arc. No one got promoted on Team Moegi. No one got promoted on Team Moegi. Denki got promoted. Sumire's team, I believe. Sumire had already transferred to the science division by this point. So Tsubaki, the samurai.
Yes, which she's from the land of iron.
Yep.
Which she's kind of an interesting character. I like the fact how she's a kind of fish out of water character.
Mm-hmm.
I like her development they gave her in the series, where there was one episode where she just got fries when she went to Thunderburger. Eventually got a sandwich too because Boruto points out to her, it works better with the sandwich.
It does.
You try to stay thin, but you get the sandwich too and still get a full meal out of it. It's interesting. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting idea to include a samurai in this series because the only kind of samurai we had the whole series
was Mifune. Yeah,
the representative from the land of iron during the 30-inch war. Excuse me, the 40-inch war, because they had because the one that Jiraiya went off to originally, that was third.
Yeah, no, that was the second Ninja War with
that was actually animation era because Hirozen he participated in the second one. Jiraiya participated in the third.
Okay, that was a continuity error. Okay, thank you for clearing that up for me.
Yeah, that was something that I don't know I haven't listened to the dub of that scene yet. I don't know if Bisbee had fixed that.
Yeah, but this was during the third Ninja War. He ends up adopting the Rain Orphans. Taking them in before.
And as of currently, they're all dead.
Yeah, Nagato was killed in a double cross due to a conspired alliance between Danzo and Hanzo.
Pain killed himself. Well, the one who Yagato, the one who got the running on, he killed himself.
He casted Rene Rebirth, which pretty much drained him to absolute zero. So
Rain got killed by Toby, aka Obodo.
Yeah, they're all dead.
And here's the weird thing. They never really. This is something the series never explained. Okay, so they lost contact with Hanzo Salamander, and they did not know what happened to him. Like, the viewers know what happened to him. He's freaking dead. He got killed by the Akatsuki, but the outside world, they have no idea what happened to him.
You get like little tidbits from when Jiraiya's investigating, like with Hanzo and how Nagato and or Pain is revered from Hanzo's tyranny, and all he really did was rupture his canister containing the poison from his abilities. I mean,
which I heard something he had his belly.
He did. I mean, yeah, his can.
And he was brought back to be revived with jutsu.
He was, but
and he was sealed by the samurai.
Yeah, apparently Mifune and Hanzo were bitter rivals.
Kind of interesting the fact that because Hanzo, they didn't really delve into him very much, aside from the fact he was leader of the Hidden Rain, and he had this rivalry, and the fact he died. Aside from that, not much is known about him.
Nope. We know more about Yahiko.
He's somebody, because the Hidden Rain had this issue where don't know a lot of people from that particular place. Also, if you listen to the dub for the scene where Jiraiya is there, and I read a line that one of the voice actors in one of the scenes, one of those ninja he finds, is voiced by Todd Hepburn. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. In fact, Todd voices like several
extras.
Yes. Guys, everything. Todd Hepburn, big name voice actor. People know who he is. And yeah, he's voiced extra characters. Heck, he voiced one of the Pain copies. I read he voiced the Animal Pain.
He did, and I think he voiced the Diva Path too. But I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird for him because I would have thought he got one of the characters, like one of the regular characters. Nope, he get like extras because all the anime I've seen except for Naruto, he generally voiced a regular character. Heck, he voiced the character in Thousand Blood War. He voiced Okaku because he plays Vic Manoia.
I remember.
Yeah. That's what the second character he voiced. Last character he voiced was a character who had the power of greed from the Fullbringer arc.
That scene is still meme to this day.
Where his character had these brass nickels with the 777 on them.
Oh, you're talking about I know who you're talking about now. I thought you were talking about the pain of death scene. No, that is still
about that particular character. He completely forgot he actually voiced that character. He completely forgot about it. Which when I saw him again recently was the first time I saw him in 6 years. I brought with me the sign for him. Arya Scott, and he did remember this series because definitely he would because he's the main character.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The Symphony of Pain, was that seen from the original anime version or the relaunched Brotherhood version?
I'm not sure because I've never seen the original Fullmetal Alchemist anime. I've only seen the whole Brotherhood.
Okay, because I want to say it was in the original. The Symphony of Pain scene was in the original anime, but I could be wrong on that.
Because I remember he voiced a character named Ling in the in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay,
he's this friend of the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
Very tall guy. That's usually Todd tends to voice characters a bit loud-ish, but not obvious like Sabbath. I pointed this out to the one time I met him that he agrees with me that a lot of his characters have these three things in common: they're big, they're loud, and they love proclaiming how much of a man they are. If you listen to a lot of his characters he voiced, it's definitely true. Even he agrees with that. I've only met him once because if anybody's had a chance to meet Chris Sabat at Comic-Con, look forward to waiting an hour in line for an autograph. Because anytime I've seen this guy at Comic-Con, his line is like a mile long. I see like, nope, I'm not sitting that line. The other people I meet, no problem. Though first my colleague was like an hour because she had to go to a panel. But I was like halfway through the line anyway, so I didn't want to give up. But this was like last year when I first met her. This was Colleen Clickenbeard.
Of course.
She, great voice actress. First time I met her, great. If it's just me, Colleen, great person to me person.
Any
voice actors I meet are generally the nicest people.
Any predictions for Jump Fiesta this year? Any special announcements or panels?
I'm hoping for like some more info about because they did announce this recently that they're adapting Culling Game for Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm hoping we get more info about that. I don't know if they announced a panel for Jujutsu Kaisen or not. I do know that has been announced, but I don't know if we're getting more info about it. Maybe we should. Hopefully, they release like a teaser image of it. Maybe they announce how long the thing is going to be, because that's something we need to know. And also, if they adapt the arc that came before that, which was the return of the protagonist, Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, where he came back for this execution arc. Either he kind of came back in the last episode of Shibuya Incident. There's a whole arc dedicated to him. It's a very short arc. They did it. They did it also with the previous season when they adapted the arc that came between the ending of season 1 and before they get to Shibuya Incident. That short arc, that flashback story. I'm hoping that it's one too, because this one probably won't take very long.
No, probably a couple episodes, give or take.
Yeah, but I think the Culling Game, that'll probably take almost as long as Shibuya Incident.
Oh yeah, that's definitely that's going to be a year's worth of content in itself. Like I can already tell you that now.
And here's a weird fun fact about that story. That was the second to last arc of the series.
It was. The ending was rushed, in my opinion. At least that last chapter. I don't know if they were.
That last it like went on for a while. The final arc went on for like quite a while, almost as long as Culling Game, because this was the first Suga's arc.
Mm-hmm.
I think that probably the last season of the show, the Suga's arc. That probably be the last season of the show, which be because next season 3. So that was season 4, and now be it.
Yeah, but speaking of anime adaptations, My Hero Academia is still going to be active, even though the series itself has ended serialization.
Yes, they announced that next season is going to be the last one.
Oh, season 8 is going to be the last one, or are we on season 9?
8.
8, thank you. But yeah, so
that's not the only one. Dr. Stone, its next season is going to be the last one. Fire Force, last one because the series is since finished, the manga's over. So the next season, last one. It's going to be split into 2 courses.
That's right. Season 3 of Fire Force did get delayed, didn't it? Didn't we do Anime Blaze on season 2 a while back?
Yes. I heard it's coming out next year.
Okay, because I do remember hearing it got delayed.
First core, I'm not sure why they got delayed. It's coming out April next year.
Okay.
The start of the year, there's a few anime come out next year. One is I really enjoyed watching when it came out. The 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. You know about that one?
I've heard of it.
It is hilarious. It is so fun to watch, where a guy gets like all these girlfriends, and one of the episodes, like, basically is like there's 2 guys trying to hit on basically his girlfriends, and it's like basically like they question like how do they know, because they're girlfriends, and they said prove it. So the girls made out with him right in front of, and the guys walked away. And it happened in episode 6 at a pool episode, one of these indoor pools, one look like a water park. It was a hilarious episode. And a lot of his girlfriends he tends to meet are like one is a teacher. Some basically a couple years younger than he is. One is actually his cousin. Believe it or not, one of his girlfriends is one of his girlfriend's mom. You're like, what the heck? It's a weird series, but it's fun to watch. I really enjoyed it. I read the manga too. Sarah Winehart voices the first girlfriend in the series. Yes, and if you have a chance to watch, it's a lot of fun. The first season is like 12 episodes, so it won't take you very long. It's a bit of a rom-com, but it's fun.
And I've also heard about some other series like Aphoreta, The World's Strongest.
Yeah, that one. It's already in its third season right now. They just released yesterday the 8th episode of the season.
Danmachi's on season 5. But Danmachi, if you had to go for the light novels for Danmachi, it is not that long. It's not even. I mean, right now with season 5, we're already at volume 17 on Danmachi.
Yeah, and the light novel was just released just last year, volume 19.
Like seriously, it's really fast paced.
Yeah, and this season came out 1 year after the previous season came out just last year. So my guess is the reason why they granted the season right away is because that arc had just wrapped up. The one adapted right now, that one just wrapped up. That's why they adapted now. And we might see the current arc do now, which is like a school district arc.
Yep.
That probably will come next year. Probably we're gonna wait. I'm guessing 2 years for season 6.
Yeah, depending on their schedule for Danmachi.
Which is this is the only novel series that was I've seen it be adapted for an anime. It's got the most seasons, 5. Some of the adaptations get like 1 or 2 lucky, but 5. Probably people like it.
Danmachi was a bestseller almost immediately, man. It sold gangbusters.
And if you look at the voice cast of the show, a lot of I was not familiar with at all. The only one I was familiar with right away, there was 2. The one who was Hestia, which is Lucy Christian, which I got signed season 1, and the one who voiced the character Wolf. He's a red hair guy who's a blacksmith. He's voiced by David Wade.
He is.
Aside from these 2, a lot of the other voice actors I'm not familiar with. I've seen maybe 2 or 3 of them within it, but those are the 2 big names they have in the whole entire series.
But I'm not going to spoil what happens in the larger arc in case you are catching the series on High Dive. But let's just say that the Hestia family gets an expansion at the end of the arc. That's all I'm going to say.
But the book 17 adaptation is almost finished. They're going to do book 18 soon. That's pretty lengthy, and it's a lot. Think of it as basically what happened season 2 all over again, but a lot more epic scale.
Like I said, it's real. Season 5 is pretty much most of volume 17 and a good chunk of volume 18. I don't know if they're going to do both volumes all together. It depends on how the season is structured.
The season is supposed to last for 15 episodes.
Okay, so more than likely they're going to finish both volumes. Yes,
they started volume 16, but technically, if you watch the first episode, the first 2 scenes had in the episode are not from book 16. They're book 15.
Yep, I believe the epilogue of book 15, if I remember correctly.
The scene where you have Belle talking to Ryu, that's a whole chapter from book 15, and the scene where Lily gets promoted, that's also book 15 as well from a short story in that one. Because book 15 is mostly short stories. I could definitely see a full adaptation, but who knows? But those 2 are not from book 16 at all. 16, the whole thing, book 16, which was out for the episodes, which by the way, the ending of the last episode adapted, with no big spoilers, that was the ending of book 16. Yes, the last thing you saw, before they got to book 17, that was the ending. The very last scene you saw, that was the last line of the book. And now we're in this ultra reality type of thing where only people who realize something is wrong is Belle, Hestia, and Hermes Captain.
And the leader of the guild, but the guild leader's not going
to say anything. Also, she's not affected either by it. Also,
Ice.
I think I think the spell on her broke with the last episode. Also, the cat girl from the Mama Tavern, she's not affected because apparently she was asleep when it happened. Because when they asked about where Sire is, the girls have no idea who she is, who she's talking about, but Mom may know who she is. So we have roughly about 5 characters who have been immune to the whole charm.
which is pretty ironic because I believe this was the latter half of season 2, if I remember. But the I forget her name, but she was leading the Amazons in the Dirty District because again,
Ishtar.
Ishtar, thank you. She tried to pull a similar
At
tactic.
the end of the arc, that's actually referenced this season.
Okay, they do go on to reference it. Okay, thank you. But yeah, Freya. Let's just say Freya was not having it.
Because Ishtar dared go after Bell, slap back to heaven to you. That's literally what happened.
I mean, it is
a very hard slap. And now that guild has been disbanded, and like 2 people are still around. One is the Fox girl.
Yep.
Yeah, she's part of the Hestia Familia, and the one is kind of considered to be her sister. Very tall girl.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I've kept up with the series. I just can't remember her name right now.
Yeah, she's part of the Hermes. She's part of the Hermes Familia. Which I explained it in my review. The whole thing of the gods refer to the people member of the Familia as children. That's based upon all mythologies. A lot of the gods do refer to the people who are not gods as their own children.
Yeah, it's kind of a melting pot of mythologies of sorts. Like you never know what's going to get referenced.
In the recent episode for 7 Days Since 4 Nights Apocalypse, there was a scene they had in the episode which was a reference to not King Arthur lore, but Norse mythology. You're probably thinking, what could it be? They had this in Marvel where Odin would communicate via when he talks through something, he does do ravens. In this episode, they kind of did something similar with the Knight Ironside talking to his brother about going on a mission, which is very similar to what Odin does, which that's from Norse mythology. I was kind of surprised to see that, but that was in the manga too, because a lot of the series takes King Arthur lore, and that is not for King Arthur. That's Norse mythology.
Yeah. If I remember, now back to Danmachi just right quick before we wrap up. I want to say Bell is either a child of someone in Zeus's Familia before they got disbanded, or he's actually one of Zeus's children.
The first was his grandson. Weird thing about Zeus, never seen the series. He is mentioned a lot, and from what I've read, Hermes works for him.
But there's no design or reveal of Zeus in any way.
No. Hermes wearing a hat the hat he wears is weird. Because when you think of Hermes and images of him, he's always wearing the hat associated with the Golden Age Flash.
Jay Garrick.
Yes. And he carries a staff that's symbol of medicine. Yep. And I remember also in the series they had Apollo there, and he had Daphne part of his familia. Mm-hmm. Which, according to Greek mythology, Daphne couldn't stand him. Which, in order to get away from him, she turned herself into a tree. Cassandra's even more weird, but I like the fact they kept her oracle powers because she foresees the future.
Yep.
And they confirm in the series that she's in love with Bill. The only different girl is Daphne is not.
Oh, you said Hestia. I thought you said Daphne. I'm like, what?
Hestia, everybody knows since the beginning that she's on with Belle.
Okay.
Cassandra is. Lily is. The one who is from. I don't know her name. The other girl, part of the group.
Harihime or Marihime.
Yeah, she is not in love with Belle. She just sees him as a close friend. The Fox girl, I think it's implied she might have a thing for him, but it's not really delved into. Irons, maybe. So I think it's confirmed about 6-7 women have a thing for him. Sire, everybody knew from the beginning that whenever she sees Belle, before they reveal who she really is in the series, when we see she's had a thing for Belle since the beginning.
Yeah, but we're not going to
that his guild, the guild girl who works with him, it was very heavily implied she had a thing for him, but it's never been delved into very much.
No.
Elena.
Yeah. You kind of feel like it's more of a brother-sister type thing, but no.
Yes.
No, it's infatuation. She just doesn't act on it, at least from what I've read.
though in the recent arc, book 19 is a spoiler, they introduce her sister. And it's implied she has something for Belle too. Because of course she does. Because Belle's that charming.
What'd you expect? He's Zeus's grandson. Why am I even questioning this?
And Belle is like, I think he has feelings for like one girl. Ainz.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's how much ecchi harem anime usually go. They only prefer the number one, the main girl, and then the harem's kind of an ensemble that gets roped along for the ride.
Yeah. Literally, I didn't notice this for her. Like, why didn't she buckle her belt? It's almost like her shirt is like about to come off, but it's still there. You ever noticed that?
Your guess is as good as mine on that one. But if I had to make a commentary on ecchi harem, the ecchi harem trope, the only real exceptions I've seen are Issei from High School DxD, but that's because the guy's an honest to God pervert, and Subaru from ReZero, but that's because he's more self-loathing than anything.
No, I think it's confirmed he does have feelings for two girls.
Okay.
Amelia and Rem.
Okay.
The other girl who's got a crush on him, Rita.
Mm-hmm.
It's a crush. He does not see her that way. He sees her like a little sister.
Okay.
Which, of course, Francesca thinks is cute, the fact that she has a crush on him, even though that he's like 5 years older than she is. This thing's supposed to be about 17.
Yeah, and
at the start, I think currently he's 18.
Yeah, but this is just my personal opinion on this. I could not get into ReZero. Like all the time loops, the multiple paths. I might as well be at least the. I tried to get on. I tried to watch ReZero on 3 separate occasions, and I just couldn't because I could barely process what's going on.
I still watch it because I enjoy it. The current season does keep it straight. They do because the whole recurring gag of the series is that he keeps dying, coming back. It's like that more in season 2 than in season 1. This season, it happened in 1 episode. Then they stopped doing it. But that involved interacting with one of the archbishops of the series, where he keeps dying. He's died like 4 times 1 episode, and then after he comes back 1 time, does the correct thing, and then no more return by death. Like throughout the whole rest of the season that's aired, except for that 1 episode, he has not died once. He's come close to death. He's had his leg blown up, but grew back on thanks to dragon's blood, which is kind of weird. And somehow, because of course, Crouch, the green hair girl, she got affected by it too. Somehow his dragon blood affected her, where it went to him, into his hand, and kind of fixed her. That's kind of shown in the end. It's really kind of weird. They also have this one character in the series who's clearly a guy, who's a cat person, and he wears a girl's outfit. In the book, they don't. There's a light novel that kind of expands upon this. Where, get this, his parents are normal humans. He was born that way. That was Felix. Crouch's Knight. What? It's a thing he does. But
why does this remind me of that one character from Hunter x Hunter?
Yeah, but the thing is, he doesn't act feminine when he wears the girl outfit. He does not act feminine. He probably wears it because he finds it comfortable. But he does wear other outfits.
But what was I saying? Bloody, it's man, we're at this for 2 hours. I'm losing my train of thought. But damn, I'm losing my train.
I like ReZero, and I'm still watching right now. But for some reason, the current season decided to take a hiatus for no reason.
I don't know if we'll ever get to these before the end of next year, but I really want to cover these anime on Anime Blaze at some point. Eminence in Shadow, because I've heard great things about that anime. At least
I've watched it; it's a good show.
And Code Geass. I'm telling you, it's a little dark, but this anime is a classic.
Mm-hmm. I still haven't watched it yet.
You've never watched Code Geass?
No.
Okay,
I
all right.
turned it to Shadow, but I did tell Lucy, Lucy Christian, she voiced one of the characters in the series. She voiced the main character's sister in the series. I did tell her I got into it. She's very happy I got into it.
Okay, I will leave okay, I won't do it now, but I will leave a post towards the later year. Which anime do you want us to cover next after JoJo Bizarre Adventure? Eminence in Shadow or Code Geass? But I am telling you, man, highly recommended. Code Geass is a classic. It's dark as hell, but it is a classic. But but uh but yeah, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Nothing I can think of. If there's any promotion, I know we're probably going to talk about it. I might have video tomorrow, but I don't have any because today I caught up with my two main anime I had to catch up with, which was Blue Exorcist and 7 Days for an Apocalypse. I might do something tomorrow, but who knows? That depends. I have no new anime scheduled until Saturday.
All right. As for me, please stay tuned for more Mass Effect content on the channel. We're towards the very end of Mass Effect 3 and the end of the main trilogy. Also, stay tuned for some more SWTOR content since I'm remastering my playthrough on that MMORPG. And the Damian Wayne retrospective, I'll try to get in before. I know I've been pushing it back for a while now, but I definitely want to get that in before the end of the year, as well as the Decamu retrospective, which I'm collabing with Jared from Comics League. And
years since Damian's debut.
It's been almost, yeah, it has been almost 20 years.
Yeah, 18 years right now. Next year will be 19. Yeah. Because Damian's debut in 06.
Yes, but the concept of his character wasn't taken seriously for the first time in Son of the Demon in 1987.
Yeah,
but that's
you can say Grant Morrison kind of is responsible for bringing the character to the forefront.
That's true. But yeah, 18 years. 18 years. But the Damian Wayne retrospective will be out soon. TBD on that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, comments.
I think I'll be on the Deadpool Wolverine review.
Thank you for reminding me that, Nick. Stay tuned for an announcement for Deadpool and Wolverine as our Christmas review on the channel, where I'll hopefully have Nick Lenz, Taladia Plays, and my brother returning from the channel for the first time in a long time, Kid Takeoff. So stay tuned for that official announcement on my community tab. And once we find an agreed date and time from the four of us, we'll get that information to you. But like, comment, subscribe, everyone. Thank you so much for watching tonight. Flame off. Whoa!